Hello there. So today I'm discuss about scanning, basic and definition, all the definitions. So why scanning? Network security assessment, evaluation and auditing the security, firewall, penetration test, IDS probe evaluation, identifying unexpected new servers, identifying open ports for protectively protect the network and security admin attacking it. uh, they are hackers. So many reason why scanning need, or why we need to know scanning for our safety issues in our network. So another scanning is port scanning, a version stealth scan to gather information about target sites while avoiding detection, try to hide themselves among normal network traffic, not to be logged by logging. Stealth mechanism, stealth and techniques, track probe packets, also called inverse mapping. Response is sent back only by close port, by determining what services do not exist, and intruder can infer what service do exist. Slow scan rate, difficult to detect, need long history log. So it's a version of port scanning. Another one useful tool is host discovery. Querying multiple hosts using the method is referred to as a ping sweeps. Many ping is there, is ping or ping 5. The most basic step in mapping out a network is host discovery. Several sweeps technique: ICMP sweeps, broadcast ICMP, non-echo ICMP, TCP sweep, UDP sweep. It's all about sweeps technique. Uh, you can do it any network, or secure your own networking area by host discovery and no other network connection. Port scanning detection. So it's really helpful for scanning, port scanning detection, for administrators to detect scanning logs, suspicious packets, identifies connections not properly terminated, actually not properly terminated, records ports as used. So some outline is there. So what is IP network scanning? Concepts and motivation. Example tool, Nmap, Genmap, or anything else. Scanning types: host discovery, port scanning, version detection, OS detection. Basically, OS detection, operating system detection is more powerful. Uh, so there is many types of scanning: external vulnerability scanning, internal vulnerability scanning, authorized scanning. So there is many types of scanning, and what scanning you need depends on what is your attacked or targeted website or targeted networking. It depends that. So scan direction, external or internal, two types of scanning. CAN servers and applications directly accessible to north-south traffic between the corporate federal and the public internet. Or internal scans servers and apps that could be compromised by lateral east-west traffic once the local network has been accessed. Level of access privileges: unauthenticated and authenticated. So non-credential scanners discover services open to and available over the network and send packets to ascertain OS versions, current status such as open file shares and more. And authenticated credential scanners have privileged access to more detailed and precise system information such as OS and other software versions and configurations. Scope of devices and scan limited and comprehensive, focuses on a particular device such as limited option and scans operating systems, installed software, user account information and more across almost all devices attached to the network. And limited is mobile phones, virtual machine, firewalls and other network appliances. So many types of vulnerability assessment scans nowadays. So types of vulnerability assessment scans: network based scans, host based scans, wireless scans, application scans, database scans. So what is network based scans? Identifies possible network security attacks and vulnerable systems on network. And host based scans finds vulnerabilities in workstations, servers, or other network hosts and provides visibility into configuration, setting, and patch history. Wireless scan identifies access points and validate that a company's network is securely configured. And application scans detects known software vulnerabilities and misconfigurations in network or web apps. And database scans identify the weak points in database. So that's it for today. I give a basic example, basic overview of all type of scans. So have a good day. Hello there. So today I will talk about types and techniques of scanning. Let's talk about network scan. Check this diagram. Find all live hosts. Hello there. So today I'll talk about JAP. OWASP JAP is an open source web application security. It is intended to be used by both those new to application security as well professional penetration testers. It is one of the most active open web application security projects and has been given flagship status. So now I can show you the JAP. First I open my virtual box and start Kali Linux. Actually, JAP provides a range of options for security automation. Check out the automation docs to start automating. Okay, now open the JAP. I installed it. Just simply Google it and download the JAP. Software security testing is the process of accessing and testing a system to discover security risks and vulnerabilities of the system and its data. There is no universal terminology, but for our purposes, we define assessments as the analysis and discovery of vulnerabilities without attempting to actually exploit those vulnerabilities. We define testing, the discovery and attempt exploitation of vulnerabilities. So, vulnerability assessment, the system is scanned and analyzed for security issues. Okay, opening the software. This system also undergoes analysis and security testing from an end user. The app is designed especially for testing web application and is both flexible and extensible. At its core, JAP is what is known as a man in the middle proxy. It stands between the testers. So here is all the options. Analysis. I cannot show you any attack because of my safety purpose, but I can show you all the tools and all the options including JAP. If there is browser and web application, there is another network proxy already in use. As in many corporate environments, JAP can be configured to connect to that proxy, browser to network proxy and web application. JAP provides functionality for a range of skill levels from developers to testers, new to security testing to security testing specialists. You can give any targeted URL. The ZAP desktop user interface is composed to the elements like I show you menu bar, toolbar, tree window, workspace window, information window, footer. Important to notice is that you should only use ZAP to attack an application you have permission to test with an active attack, because this is a simulation that acts like a real attack. Actual damage can be done to a site's functionality data. If you are worried about using Zap, you can prevent it from causing harm. Zap's functionality will be significantly reduced by switching to safe mode. So here is all the information and vulnerabilities found by the Zap. Zap provides two spiders for crawling web applications. You can use either or both of them from this screen. The traditional Zap spider, which discovers links by examining the HTML in responses from the web application. This spider is fast, but it is not always effective when exploring an Ajax web application that generates link using JavaScript. Active scanning, however, attempts to find other vulnerabilities by using known attacks against the selected targets. Active scanning is a real attack on those targets and can put the targets at risk. So, interpret your test results as Zap spiders your web application. It constructs a map of your web application's pages, the resources used to render those pages. Then it records the requests and responses sent to each page and creates alerts if there is something potentially wrong with the request or response. The desktop also makes heavy use of context sensitive right click options also. So right click everywhere while you are getting used to the user interface. There are many tabs that are not shown by default. They can be accessed by the right hand tabs with green plus icons. You can pin any tabs you would like to always appear by right clicking on them. Many of the tabs hidden by default will appear when relevant for.
So let's perform some scanning in this lecture. So the first one we will be using is ping. So a more familiar tool to perform scanning is ping. Ping is a utility that can be used to determine network connectivity by determining if the remote host is up or down. While a very simple utility, it is perfect for performing an initial scanning process. To use the ping command, you just simply type both on Windows and Linux, ping like google.com both. So this is the same command for both Windows and Linux. However, it will repeatedly ping the remote client until you press Ctrl C to terminate the process. So there is another way to ping a remote system that you should be aware of, which is performing a ping using Nmap. So you can use this Nmap both on Linux and also on Windows. The command will be same. So just type Nmap minus sp minus b and the target IP address that you want to scan. Like I want to scan my IP address, this one. So if the command successfully find a live host, it will return a message stating that the IP address is up and provide the media access control, which is MAC, and the network card. As you can see, because I am not running on anything in this IP address, so if you just type 1, okay, 1.1, and it will show you a deeper result in here using Nmap. So let's wait a couple of seconds, because Nmap takes a couple of seconds. As you can see, it shows the MAC address and also the router that I am using, that I set. So the up one level from ICMP scan is like ping sweep. So name because I've used this technique to scan a sweep or sweep a range of IP looking for live host. Once again, Nmaps provide useful information helping by allowing you to perform a quick scan. To do this, simply type nmap -sp -pe -pa and port like 21, 23, 80 and also like 3389. Let's scan host on 192.168.1.1 to 10. Ping sweeps are incredibly effective in that they can build an inventory of system quickly. However, there are some potential drawback. As you can see, 3 host is up, which is this one, and MAC address, and also nmap is down on 10 IP addresses. First, you must overcome the fact that many network administrators block ping at the firewall. So pinging host from outside the network is impossible without extra effort. Second, an intrusion detection system or IPS will often be present on a larger network or in a larger enterprise environment, and this system will alert the system owner and shut down the scan. Finally, due to the way of this scan works, there really isn't any capability in the scan to detect systems that are down. In some cases, ping will hang up in a few moments before informing and you cannot reach a host. So that's all for nmap. Let's use another one, which is hping3. So ping is not only game in town, in fact it is a limited somewhat. So while we examining hping in here in our command, let's take a look at the couple of the features that will provide useful information. First, let's see how we can make hping3 act like ping. So this command will cause the utility to transmit an ICMP request and receive a reply. hping3 -l and domain name like google.com. So 192.168.1. Okay, I think they changed some of the options on hping3. So let's see all of the options. Okay. As you can see, they are receiving a ICMP mode on my IP address. As you can see, it is both receiving and also reply. So we can do this and it will continue running until you type Ctrl+C to terminate. So next, let's check if there is a firewall blocking ping request. So we can do this by attempting to get a packet with an ACK flag to send to the target. So let's type our command, which is again hping3 -c1. Then we'll define verbose mode by -v. Then we'll be using -p to define our port, which will be 80, and -s for the port source of the number where the packet will originate, which will be 5050, and -a will be the domain name 192. So I am using all of those scanning on my own domain. So as you can see, so system is alive and it shows all of those ports, sequences and all of those. So one packet is received. So the system is alive and the port target is open. However, if no response is returned, then there may be very well firewall between the scanner and the target. So that's all for the HPing 3. So let's search for TCP flags. So among the simplest utilities you can use on HPing 3. So both of the utilities are command line, both HPing 3 and also Nmap. So all of those are command interface. So let's create a ACK packet and send it to port 80 to the victim. So just type simply hping 3 minus a target IP address, which is my own IP address, and we'll define port by typing minus p and port 80. So as you can see, it is creating a ACK packet and send it to the port 80, as you can see. So let's terminate. Creating a now create a SYN scan. So similarly, hping 3 minus 8 52 56 minus s target and then target IP address and minus v. So as you can see, this created a scan against a defined port on a victim. As you can see, this TCL scripting is capable. So now create a fin URG and phfish flags and set it to the port 80 to the victim. Similarly, hping 3 minus f minus p minus u target IP address and define our port as 80. So as you can see, you can use and test all of those like UDP, ICMP, IP and also all of those use cases using this hping 3 tool. So as you can see, it sent 23 packets and it is an 100% packet loss. So round trip is 0. So let's try a couple of the scan which okay. Let's try Nmap scan. So again, in order to perform a full open scan, you must choose to perform a TCP connect scan using -ST switch, where is -S indicate the scan and minus and capital T stands for the scan type, which is TCP connect. So let's try Nmap -S for scan and capital T for scan type and 192.168.1.1. So it will, when the command is executed, the host will be scanned and a report will be returned. Keep in mind that when you perform these types of scan, it is very noisy and it will show up in logs just waited to discover. Use this scan sparingly when no other scan will work. As you can see, port 80 TCP is open and also TCP is open which service. So a couple of the services open and this scan on our MAC address, which is this one. So if you want to scan an stealth or half scan, which is very much similar to this, just simply type nmap -s to scan and capital S to stealth scan 192.168.1.1 and it will give you the result that is less likely to trigger the detection mechanism and ending will be being in log, but the downside is that it is less reliable than a full open scan because the information is not received during the process due to the lack of final ACK, as you can see. So let's use Xmas tree scan. To perform Xmas tree scan with Nmap, just simply type Nmap minus S, then capital X for Xmas tree, minus V to variables mode 192.168.1.1 for your IP. So make sure you always choose a IP address that you have or that you own, so that you doesn't destroy other machine. So as you can see, the scan is already running on 1000 ports. It is a long scan, so it will take some time, but eventually it will show up the results. As you can see, not shown on 100 TCP port because these are not opened, and also you can know your MAC address and other stuff. So that's all of the stuff that you can do using Nmap and HPing3 for scanning purposes. Hello everyone, so in this lecture I'm going to give you an example of scanning. So in this video we are going to be looking at the Nikto, which is a web vulnerability scanner or a website. So it's a web server that security scanner that scans on your web server or your WordPress or any other server that you have. And you know, it's a very fantastic tool for detecting vulnerabilities on the server, right? So now the thing that I like about the Nikto is that I use it a lot. I mean a lot in the professional full or full professional projects. It's really detect the server misconfiguration. Now what do I mean? You know that most of the time, you know, the system administrator or you know the people you actually set up the web hosting, they really don't know what they are doing. So when this comes, you know, there may be like the information for living or subdomain which will be like wide open for people to know, and just to find them the further so that they can exploit. But you know, just finding random server configuration like misconfiguration or misconfiguring ports, that. So now let's see something like that has a like get and post comment or all that great stuff that which you know that might sound a bit confusing to you, but if you are beginner now, then it will be all right. I'll talk more details in here how to all these Nikto tools works. So and we'll be moving along. So using this tool is like a bug suite, like Burp Suite. So we'll get it which into the in depth. So now let's get started. Now I'm going to be using a web server for Apache, most importantly the Apache web server for the testing purpose that I actually configured, and the IP address will be the IP address of the Apache server, and I also tested out it works, so that I can use this Apache web server for this testing. You can indeed test on this like mine in any Apache web server or that being hosted on the Debian server for the testing purpose, or you can use your own server or your own WordPress website or server that you own for this testing. Make sure you test only on that you own, and I would not recommend to test on a server that you don't own, because it will give the problem to that specific website or web server that people own. So make sure you always that I recommend to test on your web server or on your WordPress web server. And for the thing that I need to mention about being tested on a WordPress site, make sure you're going to log into the WordPress site and update the WordPress version and the plugins to make it more secure that way. and it becomes more secure and becomes a little bit more challenging for the testing. So alright, for now we are going to be using, and we are going to learn how to use Nikto. So I already did all of this, so let's just, it's very easy. You can just type Nikto in here, it will give you the graphical interface as you can see, but we are not going to use this. We are going to use the command line interface for better work purpose or convenient, because it is very easy. As we know, it is very easy. And just what you have to do now is pretty simple. First we are gonna look up the help option for the command that you gonna use. So we are going to look at how to use the Nikto. So scan vulnerabilities that we might find on the site. So it's very simple. Just open up your command terminal, just hit the Nikto, and then done. You're done. Then for this help option, you just type help and it will give you all the information. And most specifically, the command that we are going to be looking at is this. From the beginning, that we can be sorted really well. This is why I really like Nikto. Now some of you might be asking or might have a question comes on your mind, that well, you should ask about the WordPress scan. Doesn't this just do the exact same thing? Well, the WordPress scan is the only that designed to sniff out the vulnerabilities on a WordPress website. The good thing about Nikto is that it works on any web server or website for that matter. And you know what, once you know that, it's really fun and fantastic, because it works on any site or any web server that we have already seen. So let's get what these commands do. Now some of the most important commands are the dbcheck, which checks database and other key files for the syntax errors. Then format, which saves file. Then help, that extends the help information. Then you have to have a plugin to list all the plugins. Then you have output, which allow you to output the result into a file, very important. So if you are penetration tester, you always should have a documentation of all those scans that you are performing. And you have a SSL, which for the SSL mode into a port, which you are going to be using. So in this video we are going to be specifying the use of default port, and for us the default port is 80. So which I will show you how to specify, and you can also change the port if you want to, which would make a lot of sense unless you are performing some sort of serious scan that is more specialized. Then you have your force necessary mode on the port, which is not that important, and you don't actually come across a lot of that, and you can actually update it and you can print it plugin in a later based version if you want to. So let's get started with the command that we're going to be using. So I'm going to just type in Nikto and specify the host -h, and which is the h command, and we're going to use this Apache server. And after this I would use this website address. This is the domain of the IP address, and I'm going to do this website, and we're gonna select that, and I'm gonna type h command, which I am using. As you can see, this is the h command. This is the host that I know that specify the port. So for port we are gonna specify the port -p, and the port is 80. As you can see, the default port is 80, so you can define any port in here. So as you can see, I am just defining the port, specify the port 80. You can choose anyone you want. So you use P for specifying the port, which is both 80. So if you just press enter, it will take some time, but it will give you a lot of vulnerabilities on this web server, as you can see in here. So we already know that as already passed, this is the Debian server on Apache. So it already has, as you can see, XSS protection not defined, so it is already a vulnerable web server. So you make sure you always check your own, because this must be defined, because otherwise this is not safe for users. So because I am using on a testing server, that's why I did not define this XSS. And this is very huge vulnerability, because this will be looking and to exploit all of this, and to upload the vulnerability and all of those good stuff, because a lot of guys have been like doing a lot of penetration testing and trying to get the information. So make sure you do this, because hacking on a web is a different ballgame. While this is very tricky, and because the every site is configured differently. So alright, it gives us, or it returned all the result, and you can see all the vulnerabilities in here. The script. So as you can see, this is given all of those vulnerability that found. As you can see, the PHP backdoor file manager, all of those was found in here, and this is all the vulnerability. So there's a lot of important stuff that we are able to gather in here. Again, it would be much more wise to scan a WordPress site with a WordPress scan, but for other website this is very fantastic. And this is how to scan for vulnerabilities that exist on a web server. And in this case, let's look at one more command, which is for the output command, when we are going to save all of this on a file. So after that, so as you can see, I am on a root directory. You can choose any directory as you want. So I am gonna save all the save will be saved on this root directory. So we are gonna use this same command, nicto h same. We are gonna use this web server -p for defining the port 80, -o for outputting the result, and we're gonna name this file as nicto_result, and we're gonna define this extension, this file extension, as txt. As you can see, I did a lot of mistake in here, because I did some mistake. As you can see, your extension should be just txt, not .txt, because this is the extension file, so it should be just simple as just extension name. And the main thing is that the defining F should be capital. As you can see, it should be capital, as I made some mistake in here. So the capital and then txt. So in overall, I just call it the nicto result, and that's a good to name your documentation appropriately. And now we want to specify the file type, which in case you can say the command of capital F to specify the file type of the file extension. So in this case, I am going to select the txt just to keep things basic, and just press enter. And this is going to start the scanning process. This will take some time, like 2 to 3 minutes, and once the scanning process is complete, it's going to give us the actually saving the data in a real time, and it's will performing the scan as well. So Just give it a couple of minutes. After completing the scan, we will be able to see whether or not the information was stored in the file that we specified in the stored. So we will be looking at this vulnerability. So let's move along. By the first thing is that what we've got, and we've got like gather information on a web server or a website, and this is just a basic, just getting started, and this is very good to customize the tool. So as you can see, this is completed. As you can see, one hosted is tested because this is the host one defined. You can use a couple of more if you want. So what you have to do now is you have to go to this directory where you have saved the file. So let's just open it as root. Because you cannot open root directory without root permission. So as you can see, Nikto result, as you can see. So let's just open the file. So this is very important. They are specifically for the penetration testing, because this is going to be the Nikto that will be moving along with this, and we know we'll be looking for cross-site scripting, how to bulk suit, and you can trust any other way or any other thing that you want, but this is the basic way that you can test for scanning purpose for any WordPress or WordPress site or any website that you own or that you have. I guess you guys found value in this lecture, and that's all for this.